Hey, welcome back to Restomod 101. This is part 2 of our Lincoln top install. In this episode, we're going to show you how to remove the front and rear tack strips and how to replace all the tack strips on the top. We're going to go over which parts to paint, powder coat, and chrome, how to adjust the top to fit properly, and then finally how to route the new wire harness. Let's get started.
Restomod 101.
All right, so right now what we're doing is we're just taking all the old stuff off.
Yeah.
Just grabbing some extra staples out of the front there.
Trying to expose the tacking strip to determine if it needs to be replaced or not. Getting paid by the pound to put these staples in. It's a little trimmer's joke. Yeah, we're gonna have to replace that tacking strip. It's all rotted out. What we'll do is we'll find the mounting screws that hold it in place. Let me get as much of that tacking material away from them so that we can get some penetrant in there around the base of the screw.
We're removing some of the tacking strips here, and I've got most of the screws out, but this one's being super stubborn, so I want to show you a couple tips on how to get it out. And that one snapped off. I'm going to show you what we can try to do to get that out. First things first, grab that penetrating oil that I showed you before. You want to go ahead and hit those, let that soak in. And then what you can try to do is get a long screwdriver. The longer your screwdriver, the more torque you're going to have on that. And when you're trying to unscrew it, do not look at the head of the screw. Look at the threads. You want to look down this way and see if those are turning. If you're only watching the head, you're going to snap that head off. That's what happened to this guy over here, which can happen. So go ahead and get a long screwdriver, watch your threads, and actually tighten it a little bit. And then try to untighten it. There we go. All right, this guy came out, so we got lucky there. With this guy, the other thing you can do is you can try to heat it up. So I got this great little torch. As you saw, I hit it with penetrating oil. Make sure you got a fire extinguisher or bucket of water close by. By heating it up, you're getting the metals to expand. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab a set of vice grips, and you're going to put the vice grips on it. And again, you're going to try to tighten a little bit, get it to move. There we go. All right. Nice and careful. You don't want to snap this off either. That makes it a little more challenging. You'll have to try to drill it out. But we got this one going, so we got a little lucky on that one. I guess we didn't really get lucky. I guess lucky would have been if it would have just come right out, but that's how you do that. All right, so first thing you want to do is you want to get some soapy water and some scrub brushes and clean out all the dirt and grime. As you can see, it's still wet here. I've already done that. You know, you're getting a lot of dust that builds up, turns into mucky gunk, and it's just nasty. So once you get that all scraped out, I like to get a red scrubby brush, a little Scotch-Brite pad, and you're gonna rough up your surfaces just so when you hit it with some rattle can paint, that the paint adheres well. Plus you're gonna knock a lot of this rust off, and you're gonna smooth out your surfaces so it has a nice clean finish. All right, get to it. All right, so I'm getting through all this rust and grime and gunk. Here's another quick tip. If you're having trouble getting through your paint surface, use like a parts cleaner. This Lucas multi-purpose cleaner is awesome for this. Go ahead and spray your scouring pad, your little, get it nice and wet, and then hit it. And it'll just really cut right through that stuff. Big difference. All right, this is coming together nicely. It looks like it's painted, but it's actually not. And this is an important step. You want to make sure and primer it before you paint it. I like using this Eastwood self-etching black primer. What's great about it is that it also etches and primes in just one step on bare metal. So it'll give you a nice smooth surface. It'll give you something that your paint will adhere to well. Just make sure you shake the hell out of these cans whenever you're painting. You want to make sure that that ball is rolling around. I shake them for a good 2 minutes. Another quick tip is grab a box to hold up behind the area where you're painting, so when you're spraying, all your fumes and everything get caught back here in this box. So I'm not too concerned about this interior. It hasn't been redone, but you know, just out of safety's sake, I like to put this box back here behind what I'm painting. And what's also important, wear a mask. You don't want to breathe this stuff in. Too windy to paint. Way too windy.
All right, now it's time to reassemble your frame. Here's an example of some of the arms that you took off, and you want to get those painted or powder coated. We got ours powder coated. It lasts longer, doesn't chip as easy. Now these are the button caps. You want to get these polished, and here are the screws. You can get those re-chromed, or you can just buy new chrome screws. All right, so we got back our arms from the powder coater, and they look great. The one issue that they sometimes don't do is they don't plug the holes unless they're threaded. You need to get that to have the same clearance as it did before to make sure that pin rotates cleanly in there and smoothly. So what you want to do is take a round file, and you're just going to kind of rough up the powder coat surfaces to knock it loose. And then I'll cut some Scotch-Brite to about the same diameter as this hole, and then run that through there as well, just to kind of smooth everything out. All right, I'll get those done, and then we'll put these back on. All right, so I just finished sanding these holes out, and now they have the right tolerances and measurements. Sometimes you'll have like these little plastic cups that will sit inside there like this. Well, what you want to do is you want to clean those up, and a great easy way to do that is, again, use some penetrating oil. We like this stuff from Lucas. You're just going to hit it, spray it, and it'll just rub clean. After you get it all nice and clean, you might want to lube it with a little bit of grease, very, very lightly. Some people think it's better to leave them dry, but because they think dust and dirt gets attracted to grease, and that's true, but there's such little space between the plastic that I think it's just better to clean them, put a little light white grease on them, and call it a day. Once you get all your parts back, what you want to do is you want to install the button caps first. You want to use a soft rubber mallet to tap those into place. You obviously don't want to damage what you just spent a bunch of money on to look pretty. And then you want to get a small hammer and a punch to tap your roll pins in. Line them up like this, and when you're done, it should look like this. Now, we're not going to go over how to reinstall and reassemble everything. I mean, you took it apart, so just do all that backwards.
What we had to do was raise the windows to the correct height.
Yep.
And then check the reveal for the weather stripping. When we started this morning, our reveal was much too tight, so we had to make adjustments to open it up for the weather strip. Loosen these two fasteners inside the rail. These two fasteners at the stack bar adjustment. These two fasteners at the torsion bar adjustment. Raise the top frame to the desired position that we needed to create this correct reveal for the weather stripping, and then tighten these screws or fasteners.
And how do we get it to move? Yet we had to move it back, right? So once you had everything loose, we just had to pull on that back side iron to get it to move back. Is that right?
Yeah, we just simply pushed up in this position here, pushed it to create the reveal that we desired, and then retightened our fasteners here.
And it's good to have someone help you with that, so somebody's pushing while the other person tightens it up.
Not something that a person could do all by themselves.
Sounds good.
Okay, what we did is we started off, we replaced the tacking strips and the bows here. The original hemp material was completely rotted out. When we replaced it, we used this type of material here, which is available in the aftermarket. They don't make it as thick as the original type of material that was in here. So what we did was we had to stack it up twice in this rear bar here. When we did it in stages, we glue a piece in, apply it into the rail, another piece on top of that, glued in, and then we came back. Because there's cavity inside this bow here, we were able to drill through the first supporting layer of steel for the tacking strip into the cavity, and inserted 1/2-inch long rivets to help anchor and permanently secure the tacking strip in place. In these positions here, what we had to do, we actually removed the bow off the car. There are 2 screws underneath that hold this bow in place on each side. You see it's pinched here and here, I took the tacking strip, took a razor knife, and I beveled it to fit inside here and here where it's pinched, and then glued it in place, wedged it in to the pinch here on each end. Once that was glued and attached in place, it's stationary, I came in from the bottom side with a drill and drilled the holes just smaller than the attaching holes that the hardware hold it in place. By doing that, when we attach the screws from underneath, the screws also help anchor the tacking strip in place permanently. And we did this on both bows here, and then this piece here was simple enough. I did have to chisel it slightly with a razor knife to narrow it to fit into this channel, but once that was in place, we were able to use original fasteners to hold it. First we glued it for temporary.
Just to tack it down?
Yeah, just to tack it down, and then came back with the screws to attach it permanently.
Okay, and so for these right here, what you did is you just drilled your pilot hole smaller than the diameter of the screw.
Yes.
And then you had the screw go in, and that's also anchoring this down as well. Plus it's glued.
Correct.
Awesome, well they look fantastic. Let's go to the next step.
All right.
That's where you want the top to come down.
Yeah.
And then you want the window to come down to
this surface.
That little jog right there?
Yeah.
All right, let's get some measurements done. What did you measure on the top and the curtain to decide where to mark this?
Well, we measured this stitch line that runs parallel with the bound edge of the top.
Right.
This heat press line running parallel with the bound edge of the window curtain.
So you want the middle of that tacking strip to hit what?
Approximately 1 3/8 inches.
And you're looking for that same measurement of 1 3/8 all the way around that side?
We want to try and get the staples to meet center, as close to center of the tacking strip as possible.
And so you use a countersink, so the screw head sits nice and deep in there.
Yeah, you don't want the screw head to create a bump on the surface, so you countersink it in there, and you get, when we tack the top on there, it runs nice and fluid. And I notice, you see here, it's got a little relief, not just in the what they call what the professionals call the dog leg of the top frame, but there's also a slight step in the tacking strip here too. Well, and what that's for is it accommodates the extra thickness of the pads that stretch from here to here before the top goes on.
Okay, so that's telling us that Leather Restorations is making a good product.
That's correct.
Didn't just throw a perfectly round piece of tack strip on there.
Right. I'm more concerned about the center of the tacking strip in relation to the stitch line that runs parallel with the bound edge, because that stitch line is a stapling point or tacking point for the top, and then ultimately the hide welt is positioned on top of that. So all my staples have to collect as close to center of this tack strip as possible. All right, so next step is installing those tack strips that go across the back. Yeah, tack strips for the rear window curtain. Okay, and it looks like they're beveled, is that right? Yes, they are. Yeah, they're tapered. So you want the skinnier end towards the bottom? Towards the bottom. And we're just trying to according to the manufacturer. All right. And like the sides, we're just countersinking, so the heads of the screws will not protrude past the surface of the outer surface of the tacking strip. And you're just aligning it with the corner ones, is that correct? Yes. Why do you use a smaller screw on the back? Well, I'm using the same size screw, but see, this is a solid metal. Yep. And the screw has to grip all the way into the hole. Right. While this is a sheet metal surface, the gripping surface is only thousandths of an inch thick. Right. So if we go with the 5/32 drill bit, it's likely going to be too large for the sheet metal surface, and the screws won't grip. Got it. So because either that, or we can upsize the size of the fastener to a number 10 instead of a number 6, or I mean a number 8. Okay, so because that's sheet metal, you're drilling a smaller hole just so the sheet metal screws will grab a little bit more. Yes. Got it. And that's only for this lower rear tack strip. Right. That goes across the back here. And that's giving us our constant of 1 1/8 inch versus 1 3/8 inch for the sides. Wait, you want that rear tack strip to fit where? Just beneath what? This point right here, where this flat rolls over to this surface where the tack strip attaches to.
Yep.
Just below that rolled edge.
About an 1/8 inch below.
Yeah. I'm going to take a measurement to double check and confirm. And the inch and an eighth is just above center on the tacking strip, which is perfect for what we're looking for. I got a feeling these are not going to butt up to one another. Yep, see, they're overlapping. So I'll start this one here on this end, just like we started this one. Allow them to overlap in the center. We'll draw a line and trim the end of one off accordingly so that they butt up to one another.
Oh, like nice that. And clean. Because they made them longer just so you can...
Yeah, to make sure you had enough material to get it done. Just trying to make sure I evenly space my screws, approximately 6 to 8 inches apart. A more perfect situation is going to be about 4 inches, I think.
Got it. So first thing you're doing is marking the screw holes. You want to space them about 4 to 6 inches apart. And then after that, we'll go ahead and mark the center mark.
Right. Because I'm placing it approximately an inch from the end,
yeah,
which is ultimately the best case scenario in this application. Then I'm just kind of roughly guessing the others to fill in between, approximately 4 inches. Pull the tacking strip away from the steel surface slightly, so that our countersink doesn't go into the existing hole. We're just going to countersink the tacking strip itself. Just enough for the head of that screw
to disappear in there.
Yep. Oh, here's the last one. Now our tacking strip is complete. Now let's take the tape measure. We'll find and make our center mark for reference during the convertible top and window installation.
Let's do it.
Just getting a reference on the panel itself. 51.5 inches.
51.5 would be 25.5, 25 3/4. That would equal 51.5.
Yep, and there's already a pre-existing hole right at that spot. Let's pull from the other side to confirm that. 25 3/4. That's our money shot right there, man.
Good stuff. All right, we found our center mark.
A lot of help from Jim Wallace out of Florida. And what's the name of his company again?
Leather Restorations, yeah.
Yeah. He's given us a lot of really important information here.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he really is. And what we've concluded, okay, this is what they call a package tray. Attaches here, here, and the same places on the opposite side, with 4 attaching points underneath to these corresponding holes on the rear cowl panel.
Yep.
And what we've determined after pre-fitting the package tray, the correct routing for these header latch harnesses is that they should actually, this would be for the passenger side, through this hole here, and then the harness will flow back and up on top of what is called the dog leg portion of the top frame. Gaffer's tape to hold it in place, and then the harness will come up past here, I'll show you again here, just like that. And then gaffer's tape in this area to help hold the harness in place so it doesn't move around, and it's going to run up through the pads. The driver's side harness also plugs in underneath the cowl panel here. The wires will pass through this little hole here, and then the harness runs across here.
All right, so we're just matching up our new wires with our harnesses that are in the trunk.
And that's the driver's side.
And the wires from Leather Restorations, we got this harness from them. They're actually color-coded to match the original wires, is that right?
Yes, they are. Unfortunately, the plugs, these original red plugs from the factory, are not reproduced. But what they've done from Leather Restoration, or they were kind enough to give us colored tape on this plug to indicate that it goes to the red plug.
Oh, there we go. Nice. So you pulled it further out so you can get it plugged in easier, and then you just feed it right through there to get it in position?
Correct.
Well, with the top moving, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming the harness has to move as well, right?
Yes.
So how do we know if we have enough slack back here or more slack up here?
Well, we don't have any movement, not to speak of, between here and here.
Okay.
Or from here to here. All of our movement is between here and the bows, between each bow and to the front.
Got it.
So we're just gonna give ourselves all the extra wire that we can. It's generally going to be about like this, and then across and to the front, and then any extra wire we will leave it a little loose between the bows, and then when we get to the front, any extra wire can tuck up behind the header panel.
Okay, so basically this panel, even though it moves when the top comes up, it doesn't really need any slack there.
No, because all your movement is pretty much taking place where this spring sleeve is around the main harness.
Got it. And this is the gaffer's tape that we were talking about. We use this a lot also in film industry, so we're lucky enough to have some. Yeah, baby. And so here you're just tacking it down, so when we attach that package tray decorative top to it, we don't have to worry about pinching the wires.
That's correct. I would naturally think that the wiring harness should pass through here, but we're already on top of the cowl panel and underneath what will be the package tray and coming across with the harness. So we're just kind of basically making our best guess at what where the harness should be located, should be routed to the driver's side of the car from the passenger side main harness.
Yep. So maybe when they just stamped it, they duplicated
Quite
each
possibly.
side, or we're doing it wrong.
Or you know what could possibly be too.
Nope. What? Oh, yeah. So yeah, you're right. They may have had one of these little wire harnesses on the these little loops to hold it on the bottom of this package tray. We'll just point that out
These
to you.
mounting points at the bottom of the package tray could have quite possibly had these wire loom hoops or loops or whatever you'd like to call them
Sure.
at each mounting point to help support the harness. What we've opted to do is to place it underneath the package tray and on top of the cowl, so there will be no exposure with this part of the harness to any of the moving parts of the top frame assembly.
Yeah.
All in motion.
And you know, you don't have to worry about somebody shove something into the trunk, catching one of those wires, or you know,
Right.
when you're throwing the dead body and the shovel in this back of this big trunk, you don't have to worry about catching one of those wires.
God forbid the body isn't quite dead yet, and they get in there and they start cutting wires.
Or start grabbing at them and yanking at them. This will make it to where they can't get to anything.
Right.
All right, let's finish this up. All right, so here's a little something we're doing here. We took a round grommet. We're gonna wedge it in here into this oval hole. I'm sure the factory had something there in place. Unfortunately, when we took this car apart, we didn't have anything there, so we just made our own little grommet. It was round, shoved it in the oval hole. We're gonna use that to protect the wire harness. Plug these guys in, and we already got that done on the other side. So
There.
you think that plug rests right about there?
Yep.
Alrighty.
The zip ties that we've passed through here to hold the harness in place are temporary until we can get the package tray attached. Then we'll remove the zip tie, pass our fastener through this point with the harness clamps.
Well, why are you staying around? Put those in.
Rather than counting on this for the tape to stick to this tacking strip as well as we would like it to, we'll have better adhesion on the surface underneath of it.
And then that tack strip can help push that gaffer's tape down.
Right.
All right. So now we're over here on the driver's side, basically doing the same thing, but I see we have 2 extra wires on this side, or actually 3. We got 6 wires over here. Does that change anything up on how you're routing the wires or taping them down?
Well, it just makes a little bit tighter area to try to fit them all into.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're doing the same thing. We're wrapping the gaff tape over the wires and then tucking them underneath the tack strips and using the tack strips to hold the tape in place.
Yes, sir.
All right, that wraps up part 2 of 3 of our top install. Please like, subscribe, and comment. We need all the support and help we can get. In our final video on this top install, we're going to go over the tacking into the rest of the top, tips on how to do the glue flaps. We'll also go over the hold down rods and the bows, tricks on how to do the hide-a-welt, installing pockets into the bow channels, and then finishing up all those trim pieces. Thanks for watching Restomod 101.
Restomod 101.